right, so out of a 458, we step into a new BMW M5.
Sure, that's what we're in today. Again, John,
Charlie.
So we are driving the 2018 BMW M5. This one is Singapore gray, is that right? Over Silverstone?
Take a look at the sticker here. Yep, Singapore gray metallic over Silverstone full leather interior.
Okay, so this one, MSRP on the car is 102 starting for the base cars. This one's optioned up pretty well. The executive package is, I think, the highlight, because it gives you a lot of the goodies, and including, which if you guys have gotten to know me yet, you're going to understand that the massaging seats are a biggie for me. I like to have my tush comforted while I'm doing 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds.
2.8, that is what it's being measured at. I believe BMW's official 0 to 60 time is around 3.2.
Okay. And something, obviously, first of all, I want a disclaimer that this car was given to us by Nally BMW, Indicator. So thank you again to Nally BMW for helping out with this video series and with this shoot today. We do not take showroom fresh cars and do launch control starts in them. We want to make sure that everybody knows break-in periods are important, and respecting the OEM break-in period for warranty purposes is crucial. With that out of the way, the launch control system in this car does something unique. It actually spins the rear tires pre-launch, and you gain a couple of tenths by doing that pre-spin.
Heating up those rear tires.
Right, and I think that is cool. I think that's one of the coolest launch control features I've ever heard of. You're not just dumping a clutch, you're actually spinning the rear tires and then launching forward. It's able to do that because of the variable configuration of the transfer case. So you have four-wheel drive Sport, and then two-wheel drive. So the four-wheel drive Sport, obviously being a sportier version of a handling all-wheel drive system. This isn't for rock crawling.
Yeah, the benefit is you can basically have an all-wheel drive M5 that you can turn into a rear-wheel drive tire smoking machine.
Right, and who doesn't love that? Again, there will be plenty of videos devoted to burnouts, drifting, etc. I'm sure BMW's actually probably released a drifting video of this already.
This vehicle holds currently the world record for the world's longest drift.
There it is. Things we're going to focus on, technology and luxury, at least for me. Of course, sportiness, yes, 600 horse, twin turbo 4.4
liter V8. Yep.
Yeah. And again, you've heard me say it before, God intended the V8 to be naturally aspirated. So if you want to put turbos on it, yeah, I don't know. It kind of muffles the sound for me, but I do like the torque provided from it.
I agree that it muffles the sound, but you can't deny the torque. Like this is such an amazing setup.
But even before leaving the dealership in this car, what I've noticed is everything is tech. Yeah. Complete difference from the more analog 458 that we reviewed a minute ago. Everything is tech. The gauge clusters aren't even gauges. It's a freaking, it's a screen. Yep. And you know, that's a cool thing for me. I love that. But it also is a little bit frustrating that everything's menu controlled. Remember, I'm the buttons guy. Yeah. So coming through here and having to touch a bunch of menus and things, people complain about iDrive. For years, it's gotten much better, but I still don't warm up to it like maybe a younger demographic might. I'm an Audi guy, and it's no secret that my favorite by far is Audi's MMI interface. Virtual cockpit combined with the MMI, I mean, it's pretty perfect. It's very easy to get into and use. BMW's, I feel like, is a lot more configurable, but there's a lot more of a learning curve to it, and I mean, I agree, it definitely takes some warming up. This is not a car you get into and automatically know where everything is. No, and speaking of configurable, you do have the M1 and M2 buttons on the wheel, which are, my understanding is that's a different M mode that you can choose. So you can basically configure the vehicle in terms of drive modes and all that exactly how you want, including traction, the all-wheel drive system, all of that is configurable. And then when you've set your desired configuration, you can program either one of those buttons to completely memorize the way the vehicle is set up, and at a press of a button, you can have that exact configuration available to you. That's nice. So I had an E92 M3, 2009. It was the Superman car. It was Le Mans blue over the cinnamon, the red interior. Anyway, wonderful car. V8 sounded amazing. It was a 6-speed, obviously. And that had an earlier version of that M button where you could press a button and have all your settings together. And that was kind of cool, because if I was taking my wife to dinner, something like that, I didn't want to be sporty, I could have everything set in that comfort mode, and then if
somebody got a little frisky on the street, and I, you know, on a closed course, and I wanted to get some acceleration, I could press that M button. In place of the M button on the steering wheel, it's an M badge with a heated steering wheel button.
And there are plenty of M badges on this car.
Bonus points for the heated steering wheel. You're going to lose points here for not being flat bottom. I don't know what you're thinking. No flat bottom.
I don't think BMW offers a single road going car with a flat bottom steering wheel.
Well, I will not buy this $120,000 M5 because it doesn't have a flat bottom steering wheel. Only reason. Gaining points though, contrast the blue and red stitching on the steering wheel. Those classic M colors. The two-tone stitch on the wheel there, it's absolutely gorgeous. Nice detail there. Thick rim, good sized wheel, infinite adjustability. Other little touches, the speaker grills, they are at least look metal, they're probably plastic, but nice swirls for the Bowers and Wilkins system. We're not going to crank the audio in here because it would ruin the video, but the sound is...
Yeah, from what I understand, this is supposed to be one of the best audio systems on the market, so props to them.
Nice supportive seats, actually, funny enough, more bolstered than what I was just riding in the Ferrari, and I'm sure they're adjustable 1,000 ways from Sunday. I probably don't have enough time in this video to show you how many ways they can be adjusted. I mentioned massaging earlier, I'm also getting my tush cooled. Bonus points for that, BMW. Good job.
Yeah, I happen to have the heated and cooled seats on at the same time.
Charlie's managed to confuse himself there. Big screen, widescreen, nice for visuals. It's not, again, I hate on the giant tablets, but it's enough data there, and it doesn't look tacked on, so I can appreciate that. Nice visual on this is a strange one, but the actual display for the climate control is a digital display. It's not just a little screen, it's actually a full widescreen.
And it does have haptic buttons down there at the bottom to actually adjust the climate control.
I think they did that just for me. Looking out from the car, I love that the top of the mirror doesn't attach back to the body. I'm sure there's an aerodynamic purpose to that, but it just feels cool to me that they obviously did millions of hours of wind tunnel research and decided they didn't need to connect the top of the rearview mirror.
Yep, I've seen the same thing on the current generation M3s and M4s as well.
Now this car does not have carbon roof, I'm guessing, because there's a hole above me.
Yes, there is a sunroof.
So we've got pano in this car?
No,
is it not pano? Okay, so it's a regular sunroof. Oh, side track, which hopefully you in the blog will appreciate this. Sunroof versus moonroof. I have always learned that a sunroof is a glass panel, a moonroof is the panel with the metal on the top. Don't know if that's true, could be the complete opposite.
I just call them all sunroofs, so I'm not really sure.
Pretty much everyone does. But that carbon roof, it's one of those things where the M3 was actually offered with a carbon roof when I got it, and I obviously ended up not getting the carbon roof because there you do give up a certain amount of amenities. You give up moonroof or sunroof, as you call it.
All you're really getting with the carbon roof is the ability to brag and say that your vehicle has a lower center of gravity.
Yeah.
Even though, I mean, that's not something you're ever going to feel on road.
No. Over bumps, absolutely amazing. There's tons of potholes around the area that we're test driving in right now, and for that reason, I'm thankful to be in this car right now. One of the most comfortable cars I've ever driven down this street from a bumps standpoint.
It handles it extremely well.
We didn't really even address noise, vibration, and harshness with the Ferrari because, as Charlie said, it has them all.
Yeah.
This car, completely different experience. But what's funny about this car is you have more power and a quicker 0 to 60 time than that 4.5.
I mean, by far.
5 years newer, I get it.
Yeah. I mean, they're completely different use cases. I mean, this is the executive sedan that you can basically do almost anything with. I mean, this is we talk about family. This does it.
Oh yes.
This is the car that you get when you're wanting to give up very little.
But you know, I'm not going to give it a 10. It's not a wagon.
It's not a wagon.
BMW. Since I know you're going to watch this video,
I apologize.
BMW AG or whatever. I'm going to need you to go ahead and listen and send us the wagon. So this gives us a great opportunity, since you triggered me, this gives us a great opportunity to talk about BMW generations of M5. So we are in the F90? F90. BMW M5s forever have been gorgeous sedans here. In Germany and the UK and the rest of the God-graced world, they have been estates as well as saloons. and I don't understand, and please just send us one. I'll buy it. So generations. First M5 was E28, if I recall correctly. So that one was like 86. And the cool thing about that car is the very first, in development for that, and the first production in over across the pond had the M1 motor, a modified BMW M1 motor, not 1M. Kids, go Google this. There was actually an M1. Had that motor in it for the first generation of M5. In the US, of course, we can't have nice things, so we did not get that motor. We got a different one, but it was still a nice, fast executive sedan. At the time, fastest production sedan, and I believe BMW's continued to try and garner that. Yeah. We went from that to the E34, which most of you probably recognize as one of the first M5s. Those were, early 90s. Then everyone's favorite, the E39. I would say still today, everyone's favorite. Gorgeous, naturally aspirated like God intended V8. 6-speed manual, beautiful colors, just beautiful style. And look at this 911 coming by us. Oh my. It was green with the gray stripe.
Yeah, turbo cabriolet.
Very nice. So anyway, E39 came along, and people still pine after the E39. Held its value very well. Very analog, but still executive comfortable sedan. Then we went to the V10. Still manual transmission. I think it was E60 manual transmission, so I've got no hate against it. V10 sounded amazing, and cost of ownership certainly went up on it, but still a good car. Some people were questioning the styling. I believe maybe I shouldn't say it on camera, but I believe they called it the Bangle Mangle when Chris Bangle originally designed that series of 6s and 5s. Anyway, so then from that generation, we had the previous, the 2013 to now M5, which was
F10.
Okay, thank you. And then this one. So, long history of M5s being they've always been sport sedans and wagons for the lucky ones. Yeah. And this one is absolutely no different in that department. Big whoosh of power. Actually
very
decent.
Linear.
Yeah, very linear, decent exhaust sound. Yeah. One of the best suspensions I've ever experienced. This car is winning me over a lot quicker than I wanted it to. That was one thing Charlie and I discussed before we did this video, is I wasn't a fan of the car. I said, it's too much tech, it's too much stuff. I don't want something...
That's me.
Yeah, I don't want something controlling my E-diff and all this, this, that, and the other. A differential should be welded in my garage. But anyway...
Speak of F10 M5, they're gorgeous.
But I am quickly being won over by this. What's interesting to me is a lot of people that didn't like this previous, the F10, 2013 M5, love this one.
Which I find kind of funny, because to me they look almost identical.
Yeah, they do. The tech has made big leaps and bounds, obviously, and I think the dynamics in general, people appreciate them more.
And I mean, this is, so talk about its competitor. This is the direct competitor to the new Mercedes-AMG E63S. And although I am personally a bigger fan of that vehicle, mostly because of interior, this is actually kind of edging that out in all of the drag races that I've seen so far. This is supposed to be a little bit of a better performer.
Well, again, we talk about tech. There's nothing wrong with the AMG E-Series, and it's got plenty of stuff in it, but it doesn't have some kind of crazy switchable all-wheel drive witchery where there's some... Does it have switchable to two-wheel drive?
E63S has 4MATIC Plus.
Okay. But is it switchable to two-wheel drive?
Yes, sir. Drift mode.
So BMW is still edging them out even with that. I think there's a little troll sitting in the transfer case moving levers around. Again, canted a little bit toward the driver, but this one is designed for a passenger. You have, I don't know how many, multiple cup holders, comfortable armrest with center storage, big back seat. It will definitely baby.
Yes.
I don't know if you can fit 3 car seats back there, but definitely 2, depending on the size of your car seats, what stage they're in. Kind of a silver look, carbon fiber. I don't know what they call it. I'm sure it's on there. But
looks like aluminum.
Yeah, nice trim contrasting with the Silverstone interior.
Aluminum carbon structure trim throughout the interior.
Carbon structure, okay. Alcantara or suede?
Alcantara, Alcantara headliner. Feels very nice.
So, touch materials, very good. There is plastic in here. There's going to be, but I'm not going to dock it points for that because of how they integrated the materials well. It feels classy enough.
And you can tell, so I actually, a close friend of mine has a new 5 Series of the same generation, and you can actually getting in here, you can immediately feel the difference in where they've stepped up their game in this vehicle. So just for example, in the middle here, we've got these quick buttons like toggles for the sport exhaust system, parking sensors, adaptive dampers, all that stuff, but they're completely different than the ones in the normal 5 Series, even though they have the same layout. So rather than being like actual buttons in the normal 5 Series, they've got kind of like this haptic feel to them with, they're kind of backlit, which is, I mean, just tiny touches that most people would never notice, but that actually make a difference.
Well, and there's something to be said for that. They didn't just take a sedan and stuff a bigger motor in it.
Correct.
They actually put some thought and feeling and love into it. Feels great in a roundabout. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 10 out of 10 for the roundabout test. We don't actually have a roundabout test, but we can. Let us know in the comments. Sight lines are great. No blind spots to concern about. I mean, super airy open cabin, low hood line, great view down to the front. A little bit of a chunk in the pillar here, but not enough to worry about blocking view. Tons of sight over the shoulder, over the back. The back seats are a little taller than I expected. A little smaller rear window, but it's still plenty of visibility through my privacy screen. It is powered up currently. So other tech features, what can we do with the, so it's engine, ECU, is steering also, I assume, controlled by this, the various M modes?
Yes, I believe so. So I believe
the weight of the steering?
Yeah, I don't believe it actually tightens the ratio, but I know it does tighten the weight.
Okay.
So that's defined by mode.
Okay, excellent. So really, you can customize every bit of the car. The only thing you can't do is change the color while you're driving it. And I watched something interesting about BMW Individual and what you can do there as far as adding parts and changing things. BMW's going down a line of almost an OEM customization program where they're allowing you to do all these carbon fiber parts and different wheels and really allowing you to customize your M cars, which not something that I see a ton of brands doing. I know you can do Audi exclusive and that kind of thing, Porsche paint to sample. But I think it's cool to see BMW allowing their higher net worth customers to really have some passion.
It's nice because that's something that's been around in the ultra luxury brands as well as some of the higher performance brands for a long time. But BMW doing that in a sedan like this, that, I mean, while it truly does have the performance of most supercars, it's nice to have.
Yep.
So you can see there, so you've got I believe it's in General Sport Plus, but you've got the dampers in Comfort as well as the steering in Comfort.
Okay. And I've just pressed a button here to look at a camera that shows my whole car. And I don't understand the gesture controls yet. I haven't really played with that. But there are gesture controls for moving stuff and doing things.
You can accept calls, change the volume. It all depends on what you're looking at in the screen. But there are surround view cameras, so you've got cameras basically at all 4 sides that'll show you basically a full wraparound view of the vehicle.
And it gives you a third-person 3D view too, right?
Yeah, you can see your car as it would look from the outside and kind of drag around. And
okay, so I've seen obviously the round view monitors where you're over top. That's I don't want to say common, but common. You can get it in a base model Rogue, so I'm going to call it common. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Tack just lit up. I don't know if you saw that, but the way that this approaches redline, it has some really cool graphics there.
Which you should never redline a car straight off the showroom floor. Car with miles, that kind of thing. Like our demo cars.
That is gorgeous. I do love basically the digital instrument cluster over there. It, again, in my heart, it's no virtual cockpit, because to me the virtual cockpit is a little bit more customizable there, but where this car wins is it's definitely more customizable in the main infotainment system here.
So we're doing a quick driver change so we can get some video rolling down the street here. I have just found a display that shows me power and torque, which is very exciting for me. Efficient Dynamics is gonna okay, so it's just showing me what's going on with the... Okay, that's annoying. Every time Chuck moves his seat, which he moves it a lot, the display returns to the seat thing for a second. I'm not going to read you the stated fuel economy as to what we're getting during this drive. It is better than a naturally aspirated car, but it's not good. activation. Oh, something's squeezing me. Why is it squeezing me?
I believe putting it into the sportier mode adjusted the bolsters on the seats.
Oh, wow. I found the massaging for the seat. Whole body exercise is what we're going to go for today, Chuck. Massage level, whole body. All right, so just to read you off the options here. You have a massage level. You can change the level of your massage. Your options are 1, 2, or 3. Obviously 3 because it doesn't go up to 11. Hip activation, upper body, whole body, back, shoulder, lumbar, upper body exercise, and whole body exercise. So there's a difference between activation, massage, and exercise. Now, I'm not going to Google what those different things are. That's up to you guys. I feel like I should do whole body exercise so I can go home and tell my wife I went to the gym today. So I'm going to get that whole body exercise right now. That is just phenomenal. We have some notifications here. Break-in service.
We're not there yet.
Yes, I was joking about the fuel economy earlier. It is stated an average of 17, 15 city, and 21 highway. We are currently averaging 5.8.
It's got little burbles in the exhaust.
It does. Low speed slowing down. If you let it down on its own, it will burble a little bit. You do have a red start and stop button, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. And I mean, the gear selector is much different than the regular 5 Series as well. And I believe these buttons on the gear selector allow you to change the speed of the shifts.
Yes. Yep. And Charlie was talking earlier about one of his things is steering wheel mounted paddles.
Yep.
So these are not column mounted like they're supposed to be. These are steering wheel mounted paddles. I'm going to dock points for that. I understand that if you're keeping your hands on the
Yep.
wheel, it's better. However, for your typical 10 and 2, I want column mounted.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but the actual actuation of the paddles on here, I mean, it feels pretty good. They're not bad for what they are.
They are a little on the small side, fingertip wise.
Yep.
You can still grab them, there's no problem there, but I felt when we were first pulling out of the parking lot and I was kind of trying to get myself settled, I actually had a little trouble finding the paddle. You don't have that issue in a car with extended tip, and I'm sure you can put extended paddles on this car, but not the kind of thing.
I think people are putting extended paddles on just about everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say I might put them on my stroller. I'm a fan of the shifter.
And
No complaints there.
the surround view camera is absolutely great.
It is. Even though it takes you a half hour to figure out how to put it in drive.
Correct.
Eventually you figure it out. It's got an auto hold for hill hold. It does have the, I'm sorry, I'm busy getting my massage. You can absolutely feel the individual zones. The seat is massaging me right now. Talking about the Will It Baby and the family score. Not only do you have the latch things, they're clearly labeled across the back there. So 9 out of 10 on family.
Yeah.
Probably at least an 8 out of 10 on daily driving.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a
the adaptive dampers really make it.
Yeah, that suspension's fantastic. As you will notice from the earlier one, this one does have a glove box. It's probably got more than one glove box, honestly.
It actually does have a compartment over here under the
Secret compartment. So B&W is the $3,400 option. CarPlay is disappointingly still an option. It's $300 for CarPlay, which is well worth it. I think every car should come with it. I kind of feel like that should be included in infotainment.
That's actually another thing. So BMW is, I believe they are still the only manufacturer out there that offers wireless CarPlay.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Yeah.
So once you get in with your phone, you're good to go?
Correct. It does it all through Bluetooth.
Wi-Fi hotspot. So that's something I bemoaned in my M3 is that I didn't have CarPlay yet. The newer ones have a deal with Google Maps where you can send your trip to the car.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you guys, but I really hate in-car navs. I like the way they look. I don't like the way they function. I think pretty much everybody agrees with that. But if I'm building a trip, so recently we did a trip down the Bourbon Trail up in Kentucky. and I wanted to make several stops along the trip.
Yeah.
Obviously not drinking and driving. I had a designated wife for that. But having stops along the way on a map. It's impossible to do in a factory nav system. So I built it all in Google Maps, and I would love the ability to just flick that into the nav. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. This is something that day to day, I think I'd rather have it in the, as much fun as a 600 horsepower rear wheel drive car would be. It's just something about the all wheel drive that just, you feel like it's pulling you out of a corner.
Well, you do, and it is. That's one of the great things about all wheel drive. It has saved my bacon a time or two. It makes a mediocre driver into a good driver.
That's correct. And a decent driver into a great one.
Wait, what does that make me? USB ports, it's got 2. It's got one here and one in here.
And it does have wireless charging.
Yes. So rear window shades, not just for the regular window, but also for the quarter window. Super important. Gotta have your exclusivity back there. I would take this over a 7 Series.
I also would.
Now, obviously, yes, it's sporty. I get that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about from a size and comfort standpoint. It seems more usable. I would absolutely take that over a 7.
I think I'm gonna do my lumbar massage.
Lumbar, okay. Small thing here, but I haven't figured out how to get it to split screen. I'm not even sure if it can.
It can during certain things, so you can have like music and navigation at the same time. It depends on what you're in, so I believe we already go to our media and radio.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about, like, I'm trying to do my seat right now, but because you're doing your seat, I can't do my seat.
Oh yeah, I don't think it will.
And you want to talk about super first world.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to get a lot of sympathy points from the viewers for complaining that I can't adjust my seat while you're adjusting yours. Okay.
I do enjoy BMW's driver profile system. So when you get into the car, you can have it programmed to know which driver it is according to the key, which means that when you get into the car with your key, it already knows your name, your seat position, basically how you want everything set up.
So it puts it into granny mode. And there is a guest mode as well, where it turns all that stuff off.
Yep.
That was one of the things I loved with it was the early Jaguar XK8s had a valet key that came with it, and it just totally basically neutered the car. I mean, you couldn't do anything with it, and that, I think it even speed limited it, and it definitely limited the power. That was kind of cool that you could do that. Early version of the Hellcat red key.
Basically.
No automatic parking brake release. You lost points, BMW. If I put the car in drive, then I obviously intend to drive it, right?
Correct. It does release it automatically if you press on the gas.
So this car falls into a class of these sleeper sedans that, fortunately, there's plenty of nowadays. So you have, the E series that we were talking about. You have the M5. Infiniti kind of try to do like a little red sport thing, but there's a number of sedans out there that are doing that high horsepower sedan. We've talked before, I love the Chevy SS. I think most of our viewers will probably like the Chevy SS. I think it's the casual people that aren't our viewers that are watching this video that will say, what, you like a Camaro? No, the SS sedan. A big fan of that for what it offered in power and comfort. Media, you have map. You do have hard press buttons for map, nav, media, that kind of thing.
Even though the entire infotainment system is touchscreen, that's worth noting. So there are multiple ways to control it.
Yeah, I just like my hard buttons, and that's something I appreciate here. We're gonna figure this out. We have to talk about value. It's on our score sheet, so we have to talk about it.
Yep. Sticker is 118.
Yeah, this one's 118.7, so around 119. But it, from an initial, for the horsepower and the tech and everything else, from an initial value standpoint, I think it's fine. I think it's a solid deal. Because again, what else? You're talking 0 to 60 territory that was previously 911 Turbo S, right? I mean, this is performance that you haven't seen in sedans before. So I'm going to give it points there on initial value. Continued value, I think we lose a lot of points there. If you look at previously owned M5s, values shooting down on them pretty quick, and it's because of high maintenance costs. We understand that. And you're going to see that with pretty much any German car. Audi owners experience it regularly. Cost of ownership drives down value. that's something where, against some of the more limited production American sedans and
Yeah.
some of the others, I mean, I think you have to dock it points on that. However, against Quattroporte and Ghibli, whichever one you want to call its competitor, a huge value compared to the Italians.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of those Dodge Darts.
Wow. Dynamics from a handling standpoint, obviously we're not in a track setting. We're not going to be able to get a great talk about handling. I joked a little bit going around the roundabout earlier, but it doesn't feel its weight.
It doesn't, yeah.
They did shave something like 300 pounds off the previous generation. Yep. So they have shaved weight over the previous gen, which while adding this much tech
is amazing.
Yeah, it's huge. And not massively increasing the price point over the last generation either. So from a dynamic standpoint, it is impressive, and I don't think a lot of people are going to be autocrossing these, but I get the feeling that if you did put it out on a track, you could have a lot of fun.
I think that's my biggest upset on the vehicle, is that it doesn't feel as fast as it is.
And I simply don't care, because I can do a sub 3 second 0 to 60 while getting my back massaged. So.
But to me, I care. If I'm spending $119,000 on a car, I want to feel every bit of it.
Sure. As you get older and start having herniated discs and arthritis, you'll say, man, I wish I didn't feel that car so much.
And it's not even that I'm asking to feel the bumps in the road. Like, I love the way that it rides. I just don't love the pull.
Understand. And I'm an acceleration guy. Yeah. I couldn't care less about top speed.
Yeah.
I don't care if the top speed of the car is, as long as it goes over speed limit, 80 miles an hour, 85 miles an hour with the flow of traffic. How often do you need to go much faster than that?
Depends.
I think these days pretty much everything's governed at 155, 160, something like that anyway.
Right, yeah.
So top speed doesn't matter to me. Acceleration to that point, this is a 10-second quarter-mile car. This is a 10-second quarter-mile car that I can take 4, maybe 3 friends to lunch, to the beach, whatever, and the trunk. It's got a massive trunk that you can actually put stuff in. That package is what sells this to me. There's a strong chance I'll own an M5. Probably not this one, but...
I mean, the value proposition is there for sure. It does almost everything right.
Those little wearables right there.
Yeah.
The Singapore is nice. I think if I'm speccing it out, I'm going to go for a little more... a little less neutral color.
Needs to be blue.
Yeah, I think the what is it, Sepang or Estoril or whatever. Some of the some of the prettier, richer royal blues. A little bit of attention, still not over the top. I don't think I'm going to go with Imola red or Phoenix yellow, Dakar yellow for the old school E36 guys. So, poll, we did this with the Ferrari, let's talk about this with the BMW. Favorite BMW?
Favorite BMW. Currently?
Ever.
This one?
History of BMWs.
This one.
What?
I'm not a BMW fan. To me, this is the best. To me, the latest and greatest BMW is the best BMW.
Really?
It's never been my brand of choice, and this is by far the fastest BMW I've driven and the most performance oriented. I haven't yet had the chance to drive the new generation M3s or M4s. I did drive a last generation M3, and I mean, I did love that experience, but to me, this is just so much better.
Interesting. See, I've got to give it a little more soul. I'm thinking back to E30 M3s and that kind of thing, which, to be fair, was several years before you were born. But looking, I think I'm going to have to go E39 M5.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. Like, that's my thing is I have a rough time calling a car my favorite outside of, like, exotics and stuff like that without having experienced it myself.
Yeah, I get that. I think some of that rawness and heritage in those, I'm not going to call an E39 M5 raw, but compared to this, a flying spur is raw. It is, honestly, though. I mean, you look at the technology in some of these Uber sedans, and this outpaces all of them. Although, hopefully we're going to get a chance to do a review of the Bentayga at some point. And I know to some it's like, why do you have a 600 and change horsepower SUV? To me, it's perfect. It's because I love that this is all-wheel drive. That's wonderful. And you're never going to take a Bentayga up a mountain road, most likely. Thanks for joining us today as we reviewed the 2018 BMW M5. In conclusion, here's our 0 to 60 score for the vehicle. This car is known as a bit of a sleeper, which I love, but for the valet score, it's hard parked at a 7. Dynamics, however, will surprise your executive luncheon passengers, and we rated it an 8. The family will appreciate those dynamics too. With plenty of room for car seats and diaper bags, it's an 8. Hey BMW, if you want more points here, give us that wagon. Designed with the powerful commute in mind, with all the comfort and convenience features to back it up, this is an easy 9 on the commute section. The tech is what really sets this new M5 apart. From gesture control to selectable all-wheel drive, I'd be remiss not to give it a 10 here. For overall value, though it crests 120k as tested, you get supercar acceleration with limousine comfort, so it earned an 8. That gives us a 50 out of 60 on our 0 to 60 score. Join us next time for another episode of Asbury TV.